Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged ahar. Shalom Aleichem. Achdus. Such an important trait. Yet it's so hard. It's so elusive. People have different perspectives, different hashkafos, different ways of developing their avodas Hashem, their religious outlook, different angles, different temperaments. So it's an important trait, but how do you build it? How do you achieve Achdus? What are its parts? So let's talk today about three different types of Achdus, three different levels. The first level of Achdus is a trait, is a midah. So many midos we try to improve within ourselves, who we are as people, what traits we display, try to improve ourselves and perfect our midos, tikkun midos. One of the traits, probably one of the more important traits, is to be tolerant, is to be forbearing. It's called savlanus. It's generally expressed when we feel annoyed with something, or people are insulting us, or inconveniencing us. Hillel was the ultimate savlan, was the ultimate tolerant. As Chazal see him as the epitome of tolerance. Where on Shabbos talks about two different people who wagered, could they anger Hillel? Could they infuriate Hillel? And the one who wagered that he could, peppered Hillel with these nonsensical, silly, incessant questions Erev Shabbos as Hillel was preparing for Shabbos. And we all know what that's like. And Hillel refused to be angry. Hillel kept his calm and his poise, and he was in no way rattled because he was just a tolerant person. And Chazal attribute this ability to tolerate and to avoid becoming annoyed and irritated to Hillel's supreme humility. When we're cocky and arrogant, we feel superior, then we're upset when people take our time and bother us and deprive us of things we deserve. You don't deserve much, and your time isn't yours, and you're not someone that deserves. So it's harder to become intolerant and to become annoyed when at perceived slights or activities that other people would perceive as slight. So I'm going to try to be like Hillel, and of course, not just to be a tolerant person, to have savlanus to other people when they insult you or inconvenience you or try to annoy you at a human level. Well, it's important as well. And also, you want to be tolerant to people's limitations, and be tolerant to people's flaws. You want to understand the fragility of the human condition. And you certainly want to be tolerant of people who have views that you think are dissimilar to yours, and you may even think they're wrong, that they're flawed, that they're limited. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate, the ultimate savlan. We say in davening, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, Hasovel, Umalim Ayin Misar V'chol Maminim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tolerates our limitations. He's not say Avon V'fesha V'chatar. He carries the weight, Kivayachal. The great 16th century Makubal, Rav Moshe Taragin, in his Sefer Tomer Devara, talks about HaKadosh Baruch Hu is tolerating our shortcomings and our flaws minute by minute. We constantly fail him, we constantly betray him, we constantly don't live up to his expectations of us because we're human beings. And not only does he look past it, but he provides us with life and with sustenance and with content, even while we're rebelling, even while. It's a really hard level of tolerance to reach at a human level. So when be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if people are taking decisions that you feel aren't exactly correct, aren't ideal, can you tolerate? Can you be a savlan? Can you be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is referred to as Tola Eretz Al Belima, just bol and piv, just not to become angry and dissatisfied, and certainly not to insult or deride or disparage people. But it goes a little more than just tolerance as a trait, still at this first level, because we're all Jews, and as Jews, we're all Banim Atem Lashem Elokechem, and the Rambam writes in Hilchos Matnos Ani in Perek Yud, when he describes the laws of tzedakah, since we're all children of Hashem, it means we're all brothers. And if we're all brothers, im ach lo yirachem ala ach, if a brother doesn't deliver tzedakah to his brother, who else will? We have to have each other's backs. We have to protect one another. And tolerance for another Jew is not just a midah, it's the gateway to Avas Yisrael, the gateway to realizing we all share a common past, we all share a common future, we all come from the same genetic pool, we're all headed to the terminus, the endpoint of nature, Vayichan the Malachal Kol Haaretz. And Ahava is always purest when it's free love, when it's expressed in an undeserved fashion. Because if you love someone in a reciprocal fashion, well then, that subject of your love, of your Ava, deserves it. When you give something freely of yourself, because you don't think that person deserves it. Moshe Rabbeinu sends to Shemayim at Har Sinai when he's davening, and Hashem shows him all these little treasure chests of schar And Moshe says, who's that for? There's people doing mitzvahs. Who's that for? Talmid Chachamim. Who's that? And then Moshe sees this huge, huge treasure chest of endless schar. And Moshe asks Hashem, well, who's that for? Hashem says, well, people that don't deserve it is a matnas chinam. I give it to them for free. And Moshe says, that's the schar that I want. Because Moshe knows that when he receives the schar that he doesn't deserve, that's a level of ahava that can't be matched by deserved love. So sometimes you may feel that certain Jews let you down and certain Jews don't perform based to your expectations or based on the ideal. Are you able to love them and able to express Ahavas Yisrael, even though you feel they're different from you and they're not the same as you? And that's the first level of Achdus. Tolerance, forbearance, acceptance. People are not performing in your mind based on how they should. They're not over. Can you tolerate, can you love another Jew? Can you show love when it isn't deserved? But then there's the second level of Achdus. And it's not a midah. The first one's a midah, tolerance in general and tolerance towards Jews. But it's a recognition that at a personal and a communal level, your world of Avodas Hashem is enriched by differences, by people that are different from you. Yaakov gathers his sons, and they're all assembled by his deathbed, in the same formation they would march in the Midbar. And all of this selection and deselection of Bereshis is now concluded. Now there's Kol Eila Shiftei Ka. And he delivers specific brachos. Yehuda is endowed with the courage of a lion, Naphtali with the swiftness of a gazelle, Gad with the militancy of warring soldiers. They all got their brachos, and then all of a sudden, Ish asher ki berachos berachosam, Kol Eila Shiftei Yisrael Shnei Masar Ish, Vayivarachosam Ish asher ki berachos berachosam. And Rashi says that now that he handed out and doled out specific targeted brachos, Yaakov says, well, it's not just Yehuda that will receive strength, but all the Shvatim. It's not just God that will receive militant abilities or warring capability. Everyone. What does it mean? If Yaakov was just shuffling the deck and distributing all the brachos again to everyone, why does he even bother to earmark particular brachos to particular children? And the answer to that question is that Yaakov does not shuffle the deck. Each shevet, each child has his own trait, and he'll pursue that trait, and he'll specialization. But now that they're going to live together as a community, they'll cross-pollinate. There's symbiosis, there's codependence. The strength of Yehuda will benefit all the other brothers. The warring skills, or the military skills of Gad will benefit all the others. The swiftness of Naphtali will benefit all the others, because until now, everyone's been flying solo in Sefer Bereshis. So the traits you have. But now there's an orchestra. Now you need wind instruments, you need percussion instruments, and you need, in order to make it richer and in order to rely on people to advance your world of Avodas Hashem in ways that you can't. So the next trait of Achdus is not just, well, that person is different and I don't agree and that's a different approach, but I just have to tolerate because we're all Jews and because the trait of tolerance is such an important midah on its own. But different people have different functions and different roles. In the Beis HaMikdash, different functions. The Zar can't enter. Even between Kohanim and Leviim, we tend to conflate the two. A Levi can't serve as a Kohen, that's pretty obvious. But the Rambam writes in Hilchos Klei HaMikdash that a Kohen can't serve as a Levi. So the Kohen has his role, and the Levi has his role, and even the Leviim, different roles. Those who were singing, those who were closing the gates, the Shorim, the Mishorim. So everyone's got their role and specialization. People are different. And it's not just true in the Beis HaMikdash, it's true in society outside the Beis. A very, very interesting halacha, if you think about it. I heard this from Rav Lichtenstein. Kala osek, he said this, he wrote about this once, Kala osek b'mitzvah patur min mitzvah. If you're involved in a particular mitzvah, you're exempt from other mitzvahs. And according to some Rishonim, even if you can handle both, according to Yor Zarua, according to the Ran, even if you can handle two mitzvahs, you can juggle both, you're exempt because you're already committed to one mitzvah. And because you're involved in one mitzvah, someone else can take care of a different mitzvah. So obviously, we try to perform as many mitzvahs as we can, and we don't dole out mitzvahs to others. We try to embrace all mitzvahs of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the core of that halacha, especially if you hold that you're exempt from mitzvah, even though you can handle both, is You've already chosen a certain area that you're going to excel in, that you're going to advance, that you're going to promote, and then other people will bury the dead person, or other people will be Semicha, or other people will give tzedakah, whatever that mitzvah is, without getting into the nitty-gritty of the details. So Yaakov envisions a world of specialization where everyone lives together and is benefiting from one another. And that perpetuates itself in the Beis HaMikdash. And then in society, even outside the circles of Kohanim, Leviim, and Yisraelim, Oseg mitzvah, patam and mitzvah. The Gemara says in Kiddushin, the Mishnah says in Kiddushin, Mishnah Perak Aleph, Kol osa mitzvah achas. You perform one mitzvah, meitivin lo, umarichin lo yamav. He receives a lot of benefit, long life, no chilas haaretz. So the simple reading of the Mishnah is every mitzvah counts, but the Orchos Chaim, Sefer, medieval French Sefer, in Hilchos Rosh Hashanah Chavei, cites the Rav of Beis Din. It's not really the Ravid, it's the father-in-law of the Ravid, Rabbeinu Avram Beis Din. And he claims that this means not just performing a mitzvah, but specializing, taking that mitzvah as your mitzvah and investing in it and avoiding its violation and adopting your mitzvah. That's why Chazal, throughout Shas, are always saying, oh, I was careful in tzitzis, and I was careful in tefillin, and I was careful in Shavas Aveda. What, they chose one mitzvah? Of course, our Chazal fulfilled every mitzvah. But human beings are human beings, and human beings will find that one mitzvah that will become theirs. What's your mitzvah? What mitzvah do you feel you've owned, you've personalized? Hopefully there's quite a few, but can you create that personal? Create a personal relationship with mitzvahs, so you have to be specific, and there's some degree of specialization. So the second level of Achdus is recognizing that we're codependent and realizing that my world of Avodas Hashem needs people to be involved in different tasks that I've chosen not to be involved in. So, for example, in our era, there's so many missions. There was an important mission to restore the grandeur, the sweep, the intensity of Torah, especially in the modern world with all the challenges, and especially after the Holocaust boulderized so much of the Torah world, and especially. So there was a need to restore, to rehabilitate the strength of Torah. That's one mission. To engage in that mission, you need to invest prodigiously and almost exclusively in Talmud Torah. There's another mission. We're back in our land, and we have to resettle the land. And it's not just geographic, it's also what type of society will we live in. Whether you feel that the return to Israel, to Eretz Yisrael, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's master plan or not, empirically, it's the epicenter of Yiddishkeit. It's where more Jews are going to start to migrate to. So who will we live next to? What will the fate be of Jews who aren't yet who haven't yet Hashevosa Elevavecha? So we want them to be, and we wait for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to turn their hearts. But until that happens, what type of people will they be? What type of society do we construct? Who will protect them? So you've got to restore the luster and the intensity of Torah. You've got to rebuild our people. I think a lot about Chabad. Look at how much they have reaffirmed Jewish identity in so many people. Travelers, people who aren't necessarily deeply committed to their Jewish identity, and then they find themselves in a far-flung place, and all of a sudden that sense that I have people who care about me, and I am part of a larger being and a large. So there's so many missions, and if you're honest about it, you can't excel at every mission. You can't perform every mission. So you have to distribute jobs. And you don't distribute jobs, no central command that distributes jobs. So there's got to be some distribution. There's got to be some specialization. So that's the second level of Achdus. Not just, oh, I'm tolerant, you're a little different, you may be less, I don't agree with your derech, but we have to play nice in the sandbox, but we can't do it all. And we're all mutually enhanced by each other's. I live in a Dati Leumi world. I don't call myself Dati Leumi, I call myself a Yid. But my world has chosen a broader national agenda, protecting the country, trying to change the face of Israeli society. I'm not going to move the camera. If you go around this room, Baruch Hashem, there are quite a few hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of Svarim here in the room, and a lot of them were written in Bnei Brak by people who have massively invested solely in Talmud Torah. And I'm continually enriched by their investment, as I hope they're enriched by my investment and my protection, at least on a nigla level. Obviously, Torah protects us as well, and as our primary protection. So it's a beautiful Gemara about this in Brachos, where it says in Brachos, Margala b'pumid rabbanan diyavna. Talmidei Chacham in Yavne would always say this just to reinforce their sense of commonality. Ani beria v'chaveri beria. I'm a creature of Hashem, so it's a person different from me. I work in the city. He, the farmers, those workers work in the field. I get up early. They get up early. Just like he doesn't pride himself that he's better than me who learns, we don't pride ourselves. So we need food, we need farmers, we need professionals, we need society builders, we need Torah learners, we need Jewish identity reaffirmers. That's the second level of Achdus. Not just I'll tolerate you, but I'll recognize that the next level, probably the highest level of tolerance, is when you get so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you realize there isn't one emes, and you can't fully grasp because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is specifically beyond. Lo yirani hadam v'chai. No human mind can circumscribe HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's unknowable. He's unfathomable. And the closer you get, the more you realize, and then you realize, well, there's no one emes because that's something that's not part of our olam. We just have partial emes. So the word is my emes and your emes. And each person is going to see Hashem a little bit differently. The Gemara says in Tainus, the end of Tainus, Lasad Lava, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a circle and puts the tzaddikim at the circumference of the circle. And all the tzaddikim point to Hashem who's in the middle and say, Zeh Hashem kivinu lo, Nagil Avinis. Why is that final lineup of the tzaddikim compared to a circle? The answer is because a circle, as opposed to a triangle, as opposed to a square, has infinite radii. So you can draw infinite amount of radius to the edges of the circle, and they're all equal. So you could be standing in a totally different part of the circle and seeing HaKadosh Baruch Hu from a totally different angle, but you're equal to some other person who's seeing Hashem from a different angle, because there's no one derech to see Hashem. That statement, there's only one derech, implies that a human being can capture that derech and can define that derech and can dictate and can articulate. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is beyond. Lo yirani ha'adam v'chai. And the closer you get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more you realize that. So it's not a midah, and it's not just codependency. It's getting so close to the Rabbanu Shalom that you realize you're totally incapable at a personal level or at a communal level of understanding the totality. So you just have your MS and you appreciate. My father would always joke. Nice to quote your father's jokes. Person goes up to Shemayim and the Malach comes and shows him around and says, you can pick 3 rooms. I'll show you each room. He shows you the first room, and inside people are learning and eating and enjoying. Shows him the next room. Inside people are learning and eating and enjoying. He says, this is the third room. I'll open it up for you. But you have to be really quiet. I'm going to open it just a crack and just for a second. Be quiet, and I'll show you what's in this room. Ready? Ready. 1, 2, 3. Malach opens the door. Person looks inside, sees everyone that split second, eating, drinking, learning. Turns to the Malach and says, I know my choices right now, but I have to ask you, why the secrecy? Why do you have to be so quiet in that room? So the Malach says, you got to be careful. In that room, they think they're the only people in Shemayim. We don't want to burst their bubble. We want them to keep that attitude, keep that impression up. So you can't tell them you're in Shemayim. Many different routes to Shemayim, many different truths to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as long as you cohere within the circle. Obviously, there is a circle. You can't go beyond the circle. Torah, mitzvot, emunos, v'deos. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu places it at the circle. The closer you get, the more you realize. Gemara says in Brachos that the group of Kohanim that were ending their week-long shift would deliver a bracha to the incoming group. What bracha you think they delivered? The Gemara says in Brachos, Amar Reb Chelbo, Mishmar hayotze, Omer leMishmar hanichnas. The outgoing group gave a bracha to the incoming group. Misha shacha neshma, sheshiche neshma b'bayis hazeh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should deliver Yashkin benechem, Ava v'achva shalom v'rei. So like the Kohanim, you can imagine the jobs could get very competitive. Who gets the korbanos, who gets the skins, who gets to be makrib. So logistically, get along, be harmonious. More than that, we've just spent a week in the Shekhinah. We've just spent a week in the presence of Hashem. We know that you can't know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know there's not one approach. We know that people are different. Hopefully you guys will take that same journey. Hopefully you'll walk down that path. So it's not just a logistical deterrent to fighting and competition, but realize in whose presence you spend the week. And the consequence of that realization is to know you can't know HaKadosh Baruch Hu fully. Intellectual humility, and knowing that there are different forms of emes. There's not one derech to learn Torah. Torah is infinite. It's my derech. A person can spend thousands of lifetimes, thousands of times, and never even breach the infinity of Torah. And that's what they sensed at Har Sinai. That's why in Pesach night, Ilu Kervanu Lefnei Har Sinai V'lo Natzon Lanu Es HaTorah, the most staggering part of the Haggadah. What possible purpose could Har Sinai have provided without Talmud Torah, without Nesinas HaTorah? The answer is they're getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They saw him in Mitzrayim, Etzba Elokimi. They saw him at the Yam Bayar Yisrael's Yad Agdol. They saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Mara. Now, they're really close, and that closeness and that proximity to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're starting to realize they can't know it all, and that realization creates a level of Achdus. The Gemara says, based on a pasuk in Yirmiyah, "Halo kol divari keish nur Hashem." HaKadosh Baruch Hu's words are like fire. Maybe I'll talk about fire a little bit. Uchepatish yifotze sela, and yifotze sela. It's like a hammer that breaks a rock, and the Gemara sees this as a metaphor for Torah, that when you smash a hammer against a rock, the rock splinters into many, many different parts. So Rashi says in Shabbos that the rock is Torah and the patish is human investment. When people learn Torah, Torah can be split into different approaches, Shurim Panim LaTorah. But that's not the literal translation of the pasuk in Yirmiyah, and Tosas already points this out. Literal translation, I think it's Peches and Shabbos. The literal translation of pasuk in Yirmiyah is that the Torah is the patish. Halo kol divari ka'esh nur Hashem. My words are like fire. Uchepatish. Torah is like patish. So if Torah is a hammer, then who's the rock that's being broken into different pieces? Well, that's us. When you engage in Torah and you see the infinity and the majesty and the sweep and the uncontainability, then you got to take away different things from Torah, different hashkafos, different approaches, different perspectives, different sweets, because it's just so large, it can't be conquered by one person. So Torah is the patish. People that study Torah and that understand HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're the sela. That's why Torah was delivered in a midbar. We're about to celebrate Shavuos. Of all the places, it's very barren, very empty, it's not palatial, it's not glorious. You think Yushalayim, a palace. One of the reasons Chazal gave is because no one really owns the midbar. It's untilled, it's uncivilized, it's not urbanized. No one can claim a monopoly. No one can claim ownership. No one's proprietary, because there's no one person, no one Shevet in the context of Chazal that can claim, oh, we hosted Matan Torah. No one Derech, we hosted Matan Torah. Torah is larger than human ownership, than human containability. So the highest level of Achdus is not just to tolerate people who are different, or not even just to appreciate people who are different because they're serving needs you can't possibly serve because you specialize in certain areas and human resources are limited, but feeling HaKadosh Baruch Hu's unknowability, recognizing, acknowledging the sweep of the Rabbanu Shalom, not turning Hashem into bite-sized, human-contained. It's almost as if you're trying to shrink the sweep of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As you cohere within that circle, you're equidistant. You could be standing, those who know geometry, you could be standing on the exact opposite side of the circle, and it's, as we would say, literally, mathematically, 180 degrees apart. We use that as a phrase for difference. But you're equidistant from the center point, so there's a circle. So Chag Sameach to everyone. Thank you for joining this program. Let's celebrate the vast, infinite Torah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's compared to a fire, Mimino Eish Das Lemo, because it's yearning to go back to Shemayim, its source. When we learn Torah, we're swept in that direction. It's compared to water, because even though it belongs in Shemayim, it provides life and sustenance. Kihem chayenu v'erech yameinu Torah nimshel alamayim. It's compared to wine. Ki tovim dodecha miyayin, because human beings manufacture Torah the same way human beings have to manufacture wine. And each wine is different. And it's compared to Shemen, because Shemen Turak Shemecha, because it never spoils. Chag Sameach.
כאיש אחד, אוי אוי בלב אחד, Vayichan sham Yisrael neged ha